Welcome to Creative Learning to Meet Educational and Therapy Goals using the Reach and Match. We are so happy that you are choosing to be with us today. We're going to be sharing about a product you might not know much about, and perhaps we will pique your curiosity. Today, we reach many time zones because our presenter, Mandy Lau, is speaking to us from the country of Australia, where it's Friday morning where she lives. Mandy is a dedicated advocate for diversity and inclusion, and she is also so passionate, a passionate social entrepreneur who has made her mark as an award-winning designer, and we're going to be learning about that design today. She has a Bachelor of Product Engineering and a Master of Design degrees, each with very distinguished honors. Today, you will see firsthand how her experience channeled a vision to amplify inclusion in education by way of the product Reach and Match. So be ready to be amazed by her talent, knowledge, and skill. Also with us today is Barbara Johnson. She is an experienced teacher of the visually impaired and has been in the field of education for well over 35 years. When she's not busy with students at the Montana School for the Blind, Barb also works as a leader of a vision team in the Lincoln Public Schools and assists with the completion of paperwork for federal quota funds. I know that her ex officio trustee appreciates her. She's a member of the Lincoln Public Schools deaf-blind team, where she helps develop professional development and activities for the district. I'm also really pleased to share that Barb is a 2020 APH scholar, which may be something you're unfamiliar with. Each year, state ex officio trustees are asked to nominate someone they feel who provides outstanding service in the region. Through a scholarship, awardees are sent to the annual meeting for APH in Louisville as a guest. APH pays for all the expenses in attending the conference, including transportation to the meeting, registration, and hotel accommodations. Barb was nominated as an APH scholar by her colleague, Carol Clayton-By. In the nomination, Barb was described as genuine, and I think you're going to see that today. And she sincerely believes in the students that she serves, the schools that she consults with, and parents who are advocates for the children. She has high expectations for those that she works with, and you will definitely see that she gives 110% to everything that she does. As a team leader, staff members appreciate her leadership so much. Today, our learning will allow you to examine 7 learning outcomes. And while we mention here that a minimum of 5 Reach and Match activities will be mentioned, you will be amazed to know that the product manual, you'll have access to over 30 activities and ideas of how to use this kit during play and instruction. We also have a lot to learn from educational teams working at the Montana School for the Blind. There's a lot to be said about role release of teachers and therapists, but you know what? We don't always have the opportunity to see it in action. Today, you will see how various IEP team members use the Reach and Match to practice various therapy and instruction goals. And lastly, we get the chance to see several videos featuring children using the Reach and Match. We ask for your patience in the sharing of videos because sometimes the audio isn't well balanced, but I'll guide you through as best as I can through some video descriptions for you. And while we get ready to transition to Mandy and set up, I do want to launch a poll. And that poll is going to ask you this question. Have you used the Reach and Match kit with students? So while we're answering this, Mandy, feel free to get things set up on your end. You might say, yes, I have used the product with students. You might say, I know about the product, but haven't used it yet. You might also be in the category of not being familiar, and that's okay. You will be well versed on this, everything you need to know about the Reach and Match when we're done today. So this will give you an idea. This gives us an idea of where your experience is. And I'm going to just share out. And I want to let you know that 64% of you today say that you are not familiar with the product before now. So we are really excited and delighted to be the bearer of excellent news so that you can learn about this. There are some of you who have used this and some that are just aware of it. And if you wanted to do your share screen, Mandy, we are ready to go.
Cool. Thank you, Amy. So I'm going to share my screen. So I believe it's okay now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. Thank you. Good morning from Australia. I'm Mandy, founder and designer of the Reach and Match. And thanks APH again for this opportunity. And this is our second Reach and Match webinar. So Reach and Match was the project that I developed from my master's research. And I still remember it was all started with one simple but very challenging question, which was how could we truly include children with vision impairment or other disabilities to learn in mainstream setting? Reach and Match is all about inclusive play and is fun for all children. Reach and Match is an award-winning holistic learning program that designed through focused research to support early childhood learning outcome and also inclusion of children with disabilities. It celebrates Braille and includes sensory and interactive features to support children with vision impairment to build physical, cognitive, language, and social emotional skills through play-based learning. So Reach and Match is a double-sided sensory play, and here is just a quick overview to tell you about the learning kit. It includes 4 large double-sided sensory play mats, 26 braille and print double-sided sensory tiles, which containing 4 sounds, 1 round cushion bag, and 1 portable bag. And lastly, it also includes 1 learning program activity manual, which contains 7 learning outcomes and over 30 activities. And the mats are expandable, which can accommodate to a large group of students to play. And in these photos, you can see that Reach and Match can make into different horizontal and vertical configurations, such as a cubby house. And from the feedback from the partners and also families, we also find that children with autism, they really love to play inside this cubby house. And in this photo, you can also see that we can make the mats, the vertical mats build up, and it become a maze. For little children, they're able to put their hands to touch and feel these tactile walls. And also, we are very excited to share with you that the replacement tile sets will be available at the APH very soon. We estimate it will be available by fall. The multiple tile sets are very useful to support the classroom activities. And I'm going to share with you the details of these activities later. And something is also very exciting I wanted to share with you, which is the Reach and Match training. This is a new development of Reach and Match. We developed a series of program videos, which is 40 activity animations that includes game instructions, additional ideas, and learning outcomes. And it also provides over 20 lesson plans, which include teacher strategies, evidence of learning. Second, we also provide live training webinars for schools and organizations, but this is only available for group trainings, and it is more tailored support for our partners like franchise, school franchise. For example, they will learn how to integrate the Reach and Match program into to support the goals for their early intervention programs. And if you got any questions about this product and service, feel free to email us at info@reachandmatch.com. So now I would like to give you a little background of our program. Applications. So Reach and Match has been applying into different areas, including mainstream and special schools, early intervention organizations, service, libraries, homes, and we're also supporting children in humanitarian and emergency settings. And we have a wide range of users, which include teachers, orientation and mobility instructors, a wide range of therapists, and also parents. And we support children with different needs, including but not limited to blindness and vision impairment, intellectual disabilities, mild physical disabilities, and also autism. And we're very happy to share with you that the Reach and Match has received a number of prestigious awards in education, social inclusion, and also assistive technology. And we were very honored to have the Australian government DFAT to endorse Reach and Match as an effective learning program to support the inclusion of children with disabilities and improve children's learning outcomes. So next, I'm going to share about the learning outcomes and how it aligns with the core and the expanded core curriculum. As the Reach and Match program are underpinned by 7 learning outcomes. They are Braille and print literacy, cognitive skills, sensory integration, body concepts, orientation, mobility, language enrichment, and also social interaction. And the design of the learning outcomes was aligned with the core curriculum and also expanded core curriculum. They are the literacy, mathematics, orientation and mobility, sensory efficiency, and also social skills. And in the coming slides, I'm going to share how the Reach and Match activities can support children to develop in these CC and ECC areas. Sorry. First of all, literacy. I would like to talk about the pre-Braille activities. As you can see, the Reach and Match components provide many opportunities for pre-Braille activities through exploration and free play. For example, children can identify different materials, hard material and soft materials, and also they can name different textures such as thin lines, wavy lines, dots, and also they can identify different shapes like circle, square, triangle, etc. And second, the Reach and Match contain 26 Braille and print alphabet tiles. So children can learn the Braille letters and also the Roman alphabet. For example, children can start by learning the first letter of their name and then start to learning to spell simple objects. And here are some examples of the games that I want to show you, which you can get in the activity menu. So game number 10 is called Reach Game, and the level is 3 stars. So our games are ranging from 1 star to 5 stars. So teachers can get an idea of the difficulty levels. And for this game, the teachers need to arrange the mats in the order which is red, blue, green, and yellow, and ask the student to put the tiles into the alphabetic order. And after they finish the path, they put the shapes and also the letter into the pockets. They ask the student to crawl on the path that they create, and also, or they walk on the path that they create, and also to develop that sense of direction and also spatial concept. So obviously it can take some time to learn and also to play this game. Depends on children's age, their learning needs, and also their degree of visions. And another game is game 16 is called Word Wizard. And this is a very challenging game and is a 5 stars for the difficulty level. And this game, teachers need to prepare a list of simple words. And first the teacher picks a word and reads out the word to the student A. And only the student A knows what is this word. And he returns or she returns and to find the tiles to spell the word. And the student B is going to fill the word or read the word when the student A finish putting the letters together. So this game, obviously, you can for one child or multiple students to play, but you may require for multiple tile sets. For example, you're spelling happy, Happy, that will you require 2P, or if you have a group students, you separate into different teams, and several sets of tiles will be really handy as well. And here is a very lovely example I want to show you. As you see in this photo, there's a student about 6 years old and who is totally blind and sitting inside the Reach and Match cubby house. And he was filling a tile. The teacher passed him a pentagon tile and he was filling the braille dots on the tile and read out the letter. And after he found out the braille letter and he found the right match to put this tile on to the mat. And I love this example because I remember how focused this student was when he was trying to fill the braille, and also is such a very lovely interaction between the teacher and also the student. Next, this is a testimony from an inclusive education advisor who applied Reach and Match to support their school readiness program. And I'm going to read this for you. The feedback from the pilot case was amazing because it is play-based. It is pre-numeracy and pre-literacy training. One of the teachers from Aurora has been working with children in the 4 to 8 age group for a couple years, trying to teach them the alphabet, and they have been staring at her blankly. But through this play-based approach, they have learned the alphabet within 3 weeks. They have loved it. It uses games, exercise, and is fun while playing, being age appropriate. So it's really amazing to hear this feedback. And at the same time, we also find some teachers share with us that the students with dyslexia found improvement in learning the alphabet with using Reach and Match. And we believe that it is because the learning involved with their whole body movements, and it's very helpful to strengthen their learning and also memory. Second, I'm going to share with you is the curriculum is mathematics. Sorting, matching, counting are the basic forms of algebra, and which are very useful and basic skills in the early maths. For example, children learn to sort the shapes and identify the difference in patterns and match the small patterns on the tile to the big patterns on the mat, and then count how many of them. And you can also use the tiles to teach sequencing and memory training. Sequence is about create and identify patterns, and which is a very important basic math skills as well. For example, the teacher can create a sequence in shapes such as circle, square, and ask the student to create the same pattern. And after training, you can obviously gradually increase the level of the sequence. And you can also use the sound to create a sequence which is really fun for kids, like the triangle and also like the square with different sounds. And the teacher can make using the sounds to make the sequence. And it can be quite challenging because the student actually first need to identify the sound from which tile. And he need to remember the tile and pick the right tile and then produce the patterns. So there are a number of activities that include maps. For example, stack it, shake, shake, shake it, touch and tray, bone declap, declap. And I'm going to share one very lovely game is called Stack It. And the difficulty level is 2 stars. So this is a very simple games. I'm pretty as you can see on the photos, teachers calls out a shape, for example, triangle, and the students need to collect the triangles and carefully stack one on top on the other. And if who has the tallest stack wins. And as we mentioned earlier that it will be really good that it may need a several tile sets for these games as well. And next, I want to share you with this lovely example that we saw in the classroom. And in the photo, you can see these 2 boys. They are the best buddies in the class. A boy on the left is blind, and the boy on the right has vision impairment. And they make this reach and match into the copy house. And they actually were playing shops games by themselves. And the boy inside the house acts as the shop owner and selling things to his friend, and asks his friend to use the tiles as the money to pay. So he was requesting like 3 circles and 2 triangles. And his friend who's blind was feeling the shapes on the floor and found the shapes and counting them. And I want to share this because it's just really beautiful, and it's such a lovely imaginary play for these children, and they were so creative. And in this simple and interesting game, also include the math skills that I just mentioned before, like sorting and counting. And most of the time, I feel like you just don't need to teach the kids how to play. They will just make up their own games, and they will surprise you. So next, the first ECC I'm going to talk about is the orientation and mobility. So the best advantage of reach and match is for the whole body movement and also play. It includes lots of fine motor skills, such as finger manipulation, wrist twisting, and also gross motor skills, such as crawling, walking, jumping, leaping that you can find in the activities. And here is a video I want to show you. And this boy is around 10 years old, and he is totally blind. And he's playing on the path side of the reach and match and trying to fit the tiles. And from this video, you will be able to see many fine and gross motor skills that he has demonstrated. For example, picking a specific tile, tracking the path, locating the shapes of the pocket. And you will also find he has a mental picture that he remember where the circle map is. And you can also find it was quite challenging when it comes to the shape of pentagon. So let's watch this.
And a squiggly line?
Do you remember where the circles were?
Keep going then, we'll find it.
Yeah. Good job. Okay.
Hexagon. Is that a hexagon?
Thank you.
No.
Have you found the squiggly line now?
Yeah.
Remember,
So
all the
that-
shapes
wasn't
on
that
one
the
mat are the same.
Let's get another one.
Yeah.
And match them all up.
Oh, move it around. If it won't fit, wiggle it around,
So match
change
them all up
the...
based on how you feel.
So obviously you see the pentagon have 5 sides, and also there is a path in between each pocket. So it actually can be quite tricky for blind children to figure it out. And he need to really like twist his wrist and turn into the right angle to fit in the tile.
And a squiggly line?
Do you remember where...
And a squiggly line?
Oh, sorry. Next, children also can use the reach and match to learn different body parts and also body movements. So activities include river crossing, relay run, crescent, Simon sets, stop, drop, go, 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 and treasure hunt for robots. And this is an example, game number 6 I'm going to share is called Simon Says, 2 stars level. And you're probably quite familiar with this game, which is when the teachers call Simon, give an instruction with Simon says, then you have to follow the instructions. For example, teacher say, Simon says, you need to put your feet on the green mat or put your hat on the wavy mat. And the student need to follow this. And if the teacher didn't say, Simon says, and the student maybe need to out, but you know, not sometimes the student, they don't want to be out. You can just assign them to be the next one to give out instructions. And for this game, the kids can learn about different body parts and also their reaction and also the spatial concept. And here there are two lovely videos I want to show you. This lovely baby boy is called Toby, and he has a vision condition. He only responds to bright lights up close to his left eye, and he was using the reach and match at home. And the first video you will see this was a special configuration of reach and match that joining by two vertical mats and one horizontal mat together. And please pay attention. And I love how Toby explored the mat and how he was feeling the tactile patterns on the vertical mat. And also the mother gave description along Toby's exploration and teaching him with the language. Let's watch.
Each toe. Good boy, you're on the dots, carpet. Your left hand's carpet. Yeah, that's the wavy ground. It's on the wavy wall. Dots, dots, dots. Spots. What can you feel? What's over here? On your right. That's the waves. Good work. It's the big wavy curvy waves. Oh, edge.
So I found this is very lovely because to see him like tapping his feet on the dotty mat and also how the mother's language support him. For example, you are on the dots carpet and also describe like wavy walls, big wave, curvy wave, and also some orientation concepts such as it is on your right. And the second video is 3 months apart. He looks quite confident. And I want you to see the ways that he feels the circle tile by turning it, and also how his one hand is filling the tile and while the other hand is filling the pockets. Let's watch this.
Good boy, you found the circle shapes. You found the round circle with the dots. Find a hole. Oh. Oh. It's a hexagon. Square. What's that? Circle. Good boy, good finding. Nice and round. Push, push. Yay, Toby. Good work.
As you can see, the mother is doing a really good job in encouraging him and also providing lots of guidance, but at the same time also gave him the space to do whatever he wanted. And she also teach him words such as like circle shape, square, you find a hole, etc. Next. Sorry. So you see this like photo I put there. Toby also really likes these configurations and joining two mats together and together like a tent. And Toby is able to touch the patterns on like the roof, and it's really cute because he just really like to stay like inside these configurations. And according to the feedback given by Toby's mother and also teachers, and here are some areas that he learned. For example, he made lots of self-initiated exploration, and he learned different orientation concepts and language, such as wall, floor, roof, in, out, left, right, up, down, under, and over. And he also learned the tactile features, and that links really well to the tactile graphics. For example, straight, wavy lines, bumpy, and smooth surface. And actually the patterns on the mats, I specifically chose them because they are the mobility symbols, such as the dots is the symbol of the hazard sign. And you will come across, for example, in the public like area, like for example, in front of traffic light, and the yellow stripes, they are the symbol of directional path, and the wave means river or water, and the thin lines normally represents the buildings. And next, sensory efficiency. As you know, the one of the reach and match learning outcome is sensory integration, and the sense efficiency involves the use of all of an individual's senses. And the reach and match activities that help students to use their sight and visual skills, hearing and touch skills. And there are also many examples. You find the activities are very helpful for children to develop skills in visual tracking, visual discrimination, and tactile readiness. And I'm going to give you like just 2 examples of the game. One game is called Quicksand, and the difficulty level is 2 stars. As you can see, the mats scatter around into different areas, so they're not close to each other, and instruct the student to walk around the mat, or you can ask them to perform different action or jumping like a bunny, for example. And when the teacher calls out a particular color, and the other mats become quicksand, so the student must need to jump to the chosen colored mat as soon as possible to avoid sinking into the quicksand. And the other game is called musical tiles, so which is similar to musical chairs. So instruct the student to walk around the tiles or dance when the music plays. So when the music stops, the teacher calls out at a tile, for example, red tiles or waves, and the student need to quickly find the tile instructed by the teacher. And when I was doing training with the teacher, I found the teacher really loved playing these games with the students. And the last ECC is social skills. As you know, one of the learning outcomes for the Reach and Match is social skills, and the main reason to design Reach and Match is to join children with and without disabilities to play together. So, and all the activities allow more than one child to play, and you can, which can support social skills, but also other skills, including active listening, active participation, turns taking, cooperation skills, and teamwork. And in the photos, you see the siblings, they can play with each other at home, and students who are blind and visually impaired, they can play together. So lastly, I would like to end this presentation by sharing with you a testimony from our partner, Save the Children. And the Reach and Match program was applied in their special school in Solomon Islands, where the children have all different disabilities. So the design provides so many opportunities for all children to be engaged in the games and activities. Children who have a visual impairment participate fully in alphabet games alongside sighted children due to each child having the Braille component. Another young child who could not walk was the group leader. He confidently placed shapes into their correct place as his teammates ran towards him as part of the shuttle relay race. The children have had an incredible time, and will no doubt benefit enormously from the Reach and Match toolkits going forward. So I just want to give you a little background information. The project office is talking a game called Relay Run. Basically, is the mat put on one side and the tiles on the other side, and the student needs to take turns to collect the right tiles and return to put into the mat. And during the training, we actually brainstormed the questions with the teachers and also officers. We were asking questions, for example, a child with cerebral palsy sitting on wheelchairs, how can we modify the game and have this child to join us? So we were thinking about to assign the child into a different role. So this child was actually the team leader, and he was sitting on the mat to put the shapes onto the mat, and at the end they really have a chance to play this activity, and I feel like it was extremely rewarding to see children with different disabilities, they can all play together in this program. Okay, thank you so much for listening my presentation. I hope this is useful for you. And this is my email address, mandy.lau@reachandmatch.com. If you got any questions, feel free to email me. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mandy, for sharing with us the many nuts and bolts of the Reach and Match kit, things that maybe we hadn't thought of, and just really great information. What I would like to say is I have not seen any questions that have come up into the chat window as of right now, but it doesn't mean that you don't have another opportunity. So if you're out in the audience and you have some questions, please feel free to drop them in. We will circle back certainly at the very end to see if there's anything else that we can ask. So now what we're going to do is gear up to transition to our second portion of today. And we have the opportunity to really delve even deeper into the application of its use. And Barb, we are so eager to hear how your school's team collaborated to bridge services for so many different students. So we're just eager to listen.
Barb, you're muted.
There you go. We can see you, and if you just unmute, you can take it away. Thank you for bearing with us, everyone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you wonderfully.
Oh, good. Can you see me?
We are not able to see you. Your video popped out.
Now? Can you see me now?
Hold
Hello?
on. I am, yes, and I'm going to pin you so that we can see your bright and shining face as you talk about how you bridge services.
Okay, well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with each of you today. My name is Barb Peterson, and I'm an outreach vision consultant with the Montana School for the Deaf and the Blind. And I earned my degree, my master's degree as a teacher of students with visual impairment and orientation and mobility in 1997. And I have served the school in the capacity as an outreach consultant for the past 24 years in Western Montana. And I want to preface today my presentation to share that, I'm going to profess right out that I am not all knowledgeable in when it comes to working with the children using the Reach and Match kit, but I am happy that I am with each and every one of you today as fellow colleagues in the field working with our children with sensory impairments. And I am very hopeful that today, if you take away one small nugget or one thought that provokes you, then our time together was a huge success. So here's a brief overview of what I'm going to share with you today in my presentation. My presentation is broke up into 4 segments, and all of these segments share ways in which to work collaboratively with related services on the educational team. My first segment will address early learning, where a physical therapist and a family will be working together utilizing the reach and match in their home on the living room floor with their little infant toddler. The second segment will address orientation and mobility, where our O&M specialist working at on our MSDB campus she'll be working with a preschool student utilizing his cane. Thirdly, I'm focusing on physical therapy, where our physical therapist at our school will be working on our MSDB campus utilizing the Reach and Match kit to teach postural control and locomotor skills with older students. And finally, I will be featuring in the 4th segment, occupational therapy, where an occupational therapist will be working on our MSDB campus, again, utilizing the Reach and Match kit to teach tile exploration and attention and memory skills, again, with some of our older students. Throughout my 24 years serving with students with visual impairments in Western Montana, as a teacher of the students with who are visually impaired and comms, I have worked in tandem with many specialists to include OTs, PTs, and orientation and mobility specialists, serving our children to accomplish not only my own vision goals that I have set for my students, but also I have worked in tandem with diverse specialists on common goals that we share here, and I provide vision supports to them. I have learned that it does truly take a village to teach our children the skills that they need to know to be successful in life. The Reach and Match kit provides an innovative system for students to learn and to engage. And I have found that the Reach and Match learning kit is flexible enough to promote learning. It's important to recognize that students will develop differently and their skill requirements are going to vary. So the Reach and Match kit is an awesome way to teach many levels of learning to all ages of students. The Reach and Match kit is an awesome tool that can promote team collaboration between those working with students and children, between students and children with special needs. It is also a tool that can be used to quote unquote bridge the gap between the separate skill sets that each player brings to the team. The teacher, the students with visual impairments, the physical therapist, the occupational therapist, and the O&M specialist can all use their own creativities to meet the specific goals that they have set for their students. Before I proceed, I just want to thank the phenomenal team who worked with me today and put this presentation together. They were so very awesome. And I will take time throughout this presentation to tell you a little bit more about each of them. My team consisted of 2 physical therapists, an occupational therapist, and an orientation and mobility specialist. And you will see each of them in individual segments throughout this presentation. And I also want to thank the super parents, Katie and Jeff, who also supported me for sharing their little one, Augie, with me, who will be seen in the early learning segment of this presentation. And finally, I want to say thank you to Mandy Lau for designing this awesome tool. My story begins with my daughter, Katie. This is a picture of my daughter, Katie, and her horse, Fancy. And she's at our barn located behind our house here in Missoula, Montana. I was raised to be an avid horseman, and I have had horses my whole life. So having horses and living on our farm in Montana has been a chosen lifestyle for me. Katie is totally blind, and she loves her horse, Fancy. My story starts in 1984, when I was a new mother of a child born without sight. Katie was born prematurely at 28 weeks gestation. She weighed only 1 pound and 9 ounces when she was born. She lost her vision due to premature birth and retinopathy of prematurity. She had several challenges in addition to her blindness. She had physical and developmental challenges due to cerebral palsy, and she had speech and language delays. I learned so much from Katie. The challenges that Katie faced prompted many, many hours of therapy in her early years of learning, from birth to about 7 years old. Her therapy sessions took place both inside and out of school. Her therapies consisted of physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech language services in school and out of school in private therapy sessions, also physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech language. And sometimes with those out of school sessions, we would meet twice for each one in a week. These sessions took such a great deal of time and commitment on my part to support Katie, devoting many, many hours of driving and keeping exhaustive schedules each week. Even though I was thankful for all of those services, I was also certain that it took a lot out of Katie as well. So we continued with our therapy sessions, both in and out of school, when at the age of 7, Katie was introduced to therapeutic horseback riding. And I have to admit that therapeutic horseback riding offered a fresh outlook on therapy for me. And here's what I learned. Using horses as a tool was a huge motivator. It was a motivator for Katie. Therapy became fun. Through riding, Katie seemed to be able to integrate many of her therapy goals while she was experiencing the full enjoyment in what she was doing. Riding also became the place where team planning and team collaboration took place. It was so powerful for me that I became a certified therapeutic riding instructor, and I began operating my own riding program here in Montana on my ranch. I was involved with the Montana Special Olympics, and I served as an equestrian coach, both for the area games and the state games. From there, I later decided to earn my master's degree in special education. As with therapeutic riding, the Reach and Match kit provided many of the same wonderful opportunities. It is important to keep in mind that children learn through play. It is that the Reach and Match kit is very unique, and it is fun, and it is friendly, and it is research-based. The Reach and Match is flexible, and it's portable, and it provides a way that all related services, as with therapeutic riding, can come together and share in positive team collaboration. So the first segment I'm going to talk about is early learning. And I'd like to introduce to you Andrea Leeds. Andrea lives here in Missoula, She is a licensed physical therapist and a doctor of physical therapy. She has worked for 17 years in the field, and she has worked primarily in early intervention through the duration of her career. In the following video, Andrea is working with Augie and his mom on the reach and match in their home. I want to give you a little bit of a background about how Andrea and I started collaborating, working with Augie. Andrea and I began collaborating together. She is the physical therapist and myself as the teacher, the visually impaired, in 2019. Andrea and I often would communicate on the phone when Andrea was questioning how she could best support vision goals while working with Augie in her physical therapy sessions. In the beginning, she was working on tummy time, and it was really hard for Augie to lift his head, and it was pretty exhausting for him. So we talked about the need to provide plenty of wait time and to give Augie time to process new information and work through his physical challenges. We also talked about integrating the APH Lightbox to encourage looking by providing interesting patterns and targets that were highly motivating and would attract Augie to look. We both knew that it was important for Augie to start moving because by being mobile, it would improve Augie's vision. It was important for me to, at that point, release my role and practice that with Andrea in order for her to do the best job she could working with Augie. So we further discussed tracking skills. We talked about preferred viewing ranges. We talked about discussing, we discussed preferred visual fields. And we talked about the importance of using high contrast and bright and shiny targets to encourage looking. When Augie started moving, we further discussed how to set up Augie's home environment to encourage movement by keeping him safe. He was presented with fascinating and novel items to look at varying distance. And then finally, we introduced the use of the Reach and Match kit. So the following video, we can see Andrea working with Augie and his mother on the mat. The focus of her construction in working is she's working in early mobility, balance, motor planning, and postural control activities.
So now we're in for a treat to see how super cute this little guy Augie is and how he was exposed to so many opportunities to practice these team goals. And so again, in this video, you're going to see the physical therapist and his mother interacting. And the setup is the Reach and Match sensory play mats are set up in a square configuration with the tile side facing up. And Augie is about a 19-month-old little one crawling on the mat with his therapist who is very close by.
Oh. Get him.
We're live.
Here, Augie. No.
You see him crawling around,
You put in.
and he picks up a tile piece and shakes it.
Nice. And then listen.
Now he's offered other tiles to explore.
Here's mine. The other red one. Let's put it in. Let's put it in.
He takes the red tile and places it inside the pentagon-shaped hole.
In. Yay! Oh, where's the red one go? Oh, but. Oh, it kind of fits there, doesn't it? That's true. That's right.
Yeah, you got it to fit.
This one goes over here. The red one goes in. Can you put the red one here? Yeah, it sort of fits there too. Huh? Yeah.
I know what fits, he says.
Here, let's try this. Do you want
So now
or yellow?
his therapist holds up two tiles, prompting him to make a choice.
Yellow.
He picks the yellow.
You put it in.
But something on the mat catches his attention, and he crawls over to touch and explore.
Oh, you see. Funny. Let's feel even everyone.
So in this next segment, the little guy is still on the mat with his therapist in front of him. His mother is to the right and across the mat from him.
Oh. In right here.
You got it, dude.
Oh.
You got this. You can put it in there.
Look what Mom did. She made a stack.
So between he and his mother is a stack of 5 tile pieces. He crawled over and knocked them over.
Can you help Mama? Stack. Up. Can you put on?
Good job.
Yay. How about you put
Next,
Put another one on.
he's going to play a game,
Such a good job. Yay.
making sounds with the tiles.
Up. Augie's turn. You put up.
His mother wants him to stack the tile, but he decides to pick them all up instead.
Good job. Down. What do you think? Ooh.
Now we see him looking so intently and touching the tactile lines on a green piece. His therapist shows him a red tile so that he can compare the texture of both pieces. He's really inspecting hard. But now he just decides to drop them and giggle.
Blue one. Here's the blue one, friend. Augie. Look at, is that a funny red and yellow? Yeah, and you're red and yellow.
His mother points out that the mats are red and yellow and matches his clothes.
Oh, it's different. Feel that one.
He's looking at that green tile, those textures.
Studying. Oh.
Well, thank you, Amy. That was awesome. So he's just too cute, isn't he? So anyway, in the video, you saw Andrea working with Augie and his mom, and they spent a deal of time orienting Augie to the tiles, and they explored the textures and shapes and the colors, and they were helping Augie to make choices, building his receptive language. And they were helping to develop his visual perceptual skills by stacking blocks. Did you notice how close Augie, observed the tile? What I loved about the video was that he shared, he had the tile, and he looked at it really close. But then when Andrea offered him another choice, she gave him wait time to allow Augie the time he needed to observe the tile. So that was really cool. So in the videos, also focusing on control and core control and postural stability. She encouraged motor planning and the initiation of motor planning. She provided balance challenges and core strengthening with movements outside of his base of support. And she worked with proprioception and helping him with reaching and crossing at midline. So the second segment is in working with orientation and mobility. And so with that, I want to introduce to you Jerry Darko, who is a teacher of students with visual impairment and our certified orientation and mobility specialist on campus. Jerry has served our school for 20 years at MSDB. She graduated from Stephen Austin University as a teacher of the visually impaired and a comms, and she graduated in 2007. 2010, she began working formally as our orientation and mobility specialist on campus, serving our children. So in these videos that we're going to show, we're showing how orientation and mobility can be taught using the Reach and Match kit. And she's going to utilize the pediatric belt cane using the kit to detect and negotiate surface changes in uneven terrain. And she's also going to work with this student in following 1-step and 2-step related commands.
So here we have a video. In this video, it's called Walking the Path. And Jack, the cute little guy that we get to observe, stands on the Reach and Match mats, and he's wearing his pediatric belt cane. Jerry, his O&M specialist, takes his hands, guides him to the beginning of the colored path. You'll see that he's nervous because he knows that there's a step down off of the mat. But you also see how Jerry supports him from behind his body while helping him control the cane along the mat.
Okay, you ready? Let's come over here to the green mat. Green mat, can you feel the green mat under your feet? Is it bumpy? Is it bumpy? No. Yeah, keep coming, it's okay, I gotcha. Okay. Oh, there's the wall. We're gonna turn around and walk all the way on the mat. Are you ready? Ready? We're on the green mat. Can you see the green mat? You feel those bumpy lines? I feel them under my feet. You ready? Blue mat. Let's find the blue mat. Yeah, it's okay. We're walking on the blue mat. Oh, your cane tip dropped off. You feel that? Let's pick it up. Now we're gonna walk across the blue mat. Wavy lines. What are we on now? What color are you standing on? Red. Do you feel circles under your feet? I feel little bumps. Red circles. How about, what mat are you standing on now? Yellow. Good job. Okay, are we getting a car? Okay, let's get back on the mat and we'll walk over to the cars. Yep, step up. Step up. Come here, step up on the mat. Yellow. This is the color yellow. Yellow, this is the color yellow. Now we're walking on red. Good job using your cane. Blue. Nice job, it is. Should we open the box and find some cars?
And there we got to see him walking the mat. So in this next video, it's called Finding the Path. And in Finding the Path, Jack stands at the end of the green mat and reaches out for something to hold on to for support. He knows that there's a step down and is really reluctant to locate it with his feet. You'll see that hesitation as we did in the previous video. Slowly, he's going to turn his body to the left and maneuvers the cane to locate the path. He finds the table on his left side and kneels down and scoots off the path on his bottom. Those are some of the features that you're going to see next.
Onto the wall where you step down. Step down. It's a little step. Yeah, scoot over so you can touch the wall. Scoot over.
Want to know? I hope.
Are you going to step off the mat so you can play with your cars?
You can see what he's motivated for too. He's scooting towards that motivation of those toys. Nice job, Jack. And finally, we have also staying on the path. In our last O&M video called in Staying on the Path, we're going to see Jack standing on the reach and match mats assembled as a path again. He's going to be holding on to a green toy tractor. His belt cane is going to help him maneuver the path and locate the drop-offs. In the video, you'll notice him using a wall for stability again and support, and how he is able to step off the small drop-off with confidence. He does need some prompting to put his hands on the cane and to move and locate the path again. While sometimes hesitant and moves cautiously, he accomplishes the task with help of being motivated to move by what you might hear in the background is a talking watch chime.
Are you ready? We're going to turn, get your cane, turn your cane so we can walk on the path. Turn, turn, turn. You're going to use your cane to stay on the path. Are you ready? You carry your green tractor to the green stripes. And right here, we're staying on the path. I feel red circles. Oh, now your cane dropped off. You gotta find that path again. Get your cane back on the path. Now what color are we on? What color are you walking on? Okay, what color are you on? Here, let me hold this. What color are you on? What color's down there under your feet? Are you on purple? Are you walking on purple or are you walking on blue?
And I'm going to pause it there and we'll keep moving along. I think that you saw the really great features, but I'm also trying to be cognizant of our time and knowing that we have so many other things too that we want to be able to feature with and share with you today.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. So I just wanted to add with that. I mean, he's just too cute too, but anyway, that working with Jerry, the collaboration piece was so much fun because I remember Jerry and I were talking one day about, you know, I asked her, I said, have you ever used the reach and match kit before? And she was like, oh yeah, I've used it. She goes, I've actually used it to teach my students how to step up and down curbs. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's just brilliant. How creative is that? So anyway, that really sparked me to thinking outside the box about how we can use the reach and match kit. And I love this video because, you know, with the textures under Jack's feet, you know, he had his little socks on and he was feeling those textures as well as seeing the bright colors. And I think throughout the video, he did build confidence. We didn't get to watch the tail end of the last video, but in the end of that video, he does actually step off the curb when he gets to the wall. He does actually step off the curb of the edge of the mat independently. And so it was pretty awesome to watch. So with that, you know, Jerry's instructional goals included exploring the various surfaces and the textures on the mat that was under his feet and also under his hands. She practiced walking with Jack on the reach and mat path with his belt cane. And she practiced utilizing the belt cane to negotiate stepping up and down off the curb or the mat with negotiating uneven surfaces. She also helped Jack to explore body concepts and directional and positional concepts in relation to the mat. So the next segment is focusing on physical therapy. And I'd like in this segment to introduce Laurie Mcrae, who is the physical therapist at our school. Laurie comes to us with 39 years of service at MSDB. And she graduated from the Washington University with a Bachelor in Science in Physical Therapy in 1982. In these videos, you are going to see both with the physical therapy and the occupational therapy segments, they are working in our motor lab at MSDB. And our motor lab is designed after a curriculum written by Athena Oden, who's a physical therapist. called Ready Minds, Learning Bodies. And the website is https://readybodieslearningminds.com. The curriculum itself is designed for pre-kindergarten and elementary students. The goal is to help students to develop foundational sensory processing and motor skills. And the physical and occupational therapists select station activities in the motor lab that build on those skills. In these videos, Laurie is going to be working on instructional activities that focus on postural control and locomotor skills.
The motor lab station activity plans that are being talked about that deal with postural control and locomotor skills. So in this first video of orientation to mat, you're going to see how the reach and match sensory play mats are set up in a square configuration with the student seated in the open middle cutout part of the circle. Notice how he orients himself to the mat by identifying the textures, whether that's parallel lines, diagonal lines, wavy, curvy, in all quadrants, front, middle, back, left, front, all of that.
Wavy lines. All right, behind you on your right. What do you feel? The parallel line. You're right. What's in front of you on your left? Circles.
And you can faintly hear him identifying the textures. While a teacher was calling out, what's on your left? What's on your right? In this next video that we're going to share on core building, it's the same student we see again in same mat configuration. He's going to be asked to place a right or left hand onto the textured map. And the purpose again is to practice his core strength.
Right. Are you ready for your first direction? Yes. Okay. Right hand on the parallel lines. You're like horizontally. Right hand on the circles. Left hand on the wavy lines.
And again, you hear his teacher calling out, his therapist, what to touch with what hand.
Left hand can reach the parallel lines. No. How about right hand on the wavy lines? Okay, we're going to try a different way.
That was great. So now, postural control, a few other things to look at. Now we're going to observe a different student seated in the middle of the 4 square assembled reach and match mats. He's actually in an upright position on his knees. We'll see him practicing that postural control by advancing to a 4-point, that's hands and knees or tall kneeling positions. Notice too how he's asked to place his left or right hand or foot in a more advanced position.
Tall kneeling, so we're going to be tall on our knees, and then your right hand's going to touch the diagonal lines. Then you're going to go back tall on your knees. Your left hand is going to touch the circles. I'm going higher. You are going higher. Good job. Now, you're staying tall on your knees. Your left foot is going to touch the circles.
So now he's asked to start moving his feet.
Now your right foot is going to touch the diagonal line. And back onto tall on your knees. You can put your hands on your hips while you're standing there, nice and tall. Okay.
So you can see all of those different postural controls. In this last, mistakenly advanced. So in this last video, The mats are still in the same configuration before, but we see a different student now seated in the middle. And so notice how he practices his control and balance when asked to reach for a tactile tile that's held by an adult and then place it into the mat.
What's this? I'm trying to reach all the way over here, but I can't reach it. I'll see you, okay? Okay, there we go. There's the triangle, we're going over here. Look at me, I'm trying to reach all the way over here. There. I gotta reach all the way over here. There we go.
And you saw how successful he was with that. Finally, in this locomotor, that's a tongue twister for me, skill practice video, we're going to see the reach and match now set up in a pathway configuration. And a student is asked to negotiate the pathway by performing different skills on each textured mat. Notice how she might bunny hop with a 2-foot jump, maybe hop on 1 foot, tandem walks with heel to toe.
2-foot jumps on the wavy lines. Tiptoe on the parallel lines. Heel toe on the diagonal lines. One foot in front of the other. And side step on the surface. There we go. 2-foot jumps on the
And what was really great to see about these as well is that you saw older students utilizing the mat.
Exactly, Amy, and that's the important fun part piece I wanted to share. You know, as an introduction to the reach and match at our school, at Montana School, we Laurie had shared, our physical therapist, that they have now fully integrated the reach and match kit into our motor lab, and it is an actual station that is used there frequently. So you saw with Laurie's instructional goals, she included increasing kinesthetic awareness of her body and space, improvements in motor control, increasing core strength and proximal stability, improvement in equilibrium reactions and static and dynamic balance. And she also was encouraging crossing at midline. And in terms of locomotor skills, she was increasing, again, kinesthetic awareness of body and space, gross motor skill development, improving equilibrium responses and dynamic balance, and also improving core control and postural stability. My final segment today is featuring occupational therapy, and I wanted to introduce to you Stephanie Annis, who is our school's occupational therapist. She comes to us with 15 years of service at MSDB. She graduated from Creighton University in Omaha, Nebraska with a Bachelor's of Science in Occupational Therapy, graduating in 1997. In the following videos, you're going to see Stephanie working in some planning in tactile exploration and also instruction in attention and memory skills. As you watch the videos, notice how Stephanie is utilizing a blindfold to explore the tiles tactily, and she incorporates the use of search patterns. The little boy on the left in the black sweatshirt is totally blind.
Okay, so now we're going to take a sneak peek and observe some of these tactile skills. One section of the reach and match sensory playmat is set up with the tile side facing up. The student is seated on the floor at the edge of the section, and you're going to notice how he explores the mat to determine which tile shapes will fit in it. Seated to his left is his occupational therapist. She's going to hand him different shaped tiles. If the shape she gives him fits into the mat, the student will place it in the right place. If it's the wrong shape, he'll hand it back to his OT. In this video, the student is placing pentagon shapes into the yellow mat.
Okay.
I want to do a triangle. Where's that triangle shape on this?
On a different mat, so I'm going to trade you. I'll take that one. Now you can feel this shape and see if that is the pentagon.
Yes.
Okay.
Where's the pentagon?
Now you can see the pentagon in this.
And we see him using his hands to place that pentagon shape into the hole, needing to wiggle it in a bit.
It's not going.
Little bit of perseverance on this one.
The right spot, sometimes you just have to turn it a little bit.
And his therapist said to keep turning it around ever so gently, and bingo, he got it. Also, in the second tactile skills video, you'll notice how the student is different. And as Barb mentioned, he wears a blindfold. He's seated on the floor with one section of the reach and match sensory mat. This one is blue with triangle shapes. The OT is seated on his left side. In this case, the student is given a container which houses lots of different, squares, circles, triangles, pentagon tiles. He will reach inside rather and pick out. And when he picks up a triangle, he'll then feel to the mat to find the empty slot and place it in there. Let's watch a few moments of this.
We're looking for triangles, so I'm going to give you the bucket, and it's full of shapes, and you need to find.
Oh, that's not it.
Okay.
So he pulled a pentagon out. It wasn't it. He handed it to his therapist.
I'm gonna set it in here like this.
And now
Perfect.
he is trying to get it placed in. And while I know there is excellent footage here, I want to make sure that we can squeak in the last few minutes. I know we're running short on time. In this last one for attention and memory, we'll observe a student using a fully assembled mat to practice attention and memory skills. Again, in this video, the mats are assembled in a square configuration and the student's in the middle. He holds a container of tiles, and you'll hear the teacher call out multi-step directions, asking for the boy to place the tiles into the corresponding mat. We'll see if we can watch for a few moments.
Okay, your directions are first red, then yellow.
Oh, my apologies. The teacher, therapist said first yellow, then red, I believe. So he's following those two-step directions and placing them where they need to go. I'm moving along. I see that we are at the bottom of the hour.
Yes, thank you. So I just wanted to wrap it up and just share that Stephanie was using the blindfold to work with the students, as well as the one student not being able to see at all, in developing tactile exploration, discrimination, and manipulation skills. She was incorporating search patterns, developing problem-solving skills, and incorporating bilateral use of the upper extremities. In terms of the attention and memory skills, she was developing listening and attention skills. She was developing sequential memory skills and incorporating color, shape, and texture matching. In conclusion, I just want to share that my final thoughts are these: that the Reach and Match kit provides fun and innovative ways to approach learning. It provides age-appropriate opportunities for children to participate using the Reach and Match kit, and it provides productive direction and challenges teachers and specialists to be creative and think outside the box as to how the Reach and Match could best be used to address all educational and skill domains. Thank you for time today.
As we close up today, I just want to say thank you for staying with us here to the end. I know we're a few minutes over, and great to still have you with us. And we thank you for taking time to learn with us today. Mandy, thank you for sharing. Barb, Thank you for sharing about your school story of using the reach and match. And because of what each of you shared, I think that there's inspiration now and ideas that will propel other educators. So know that this recording, this webinar has been recorded and you can access it. If you know of team members that you want to share this with, it's on our YouTube playlist. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that this presentation would have just been a void if we didn't have the contribution of Andrea Leeds and Jerry Darko and Laurie Mcrae and Stephanie Annis of being able to offer up opportunities to observe your skill of teaching in action. This is a product that is available on federal quota funds. We will drop this information if you would like more information about it and accessing it through the American Printing House for the Blind in a follow-up email.